You're at the dock and you're tethered up. If I untether and I turn on the engine and I put the throttle and I steer, I'm going to go to wherever direction that I have, versus I go on the boat, I untether the boat, and I go to sleep, and I wake up, and where am I? And now I go to turn on the engine, and the engine doesn't start. That's where you're at, and you got to figure out, where am I going?
My name's Caleb, and I'm the baby of a large family. Like, we could field a few baseball teams size large family. This story is about my brother Shawn, and how my time with him over the last 4 years has really helped me find my footing, find my place. Shawn loves working with his hands, and he loves being creative.
I love working with my hands. I love being creative.
Up until 2020, that was one of the few things that I, really knew about him. See, Shawn and I go way back, like 1991 back. But the age difference meant that my teenage years were when he was in the thick of raising his family. Fast forward a couple decades, now I'm in the thick of starting mine, and I begin to feel myself slipping. I just didn't feel like me, and most of the time I just didn't feel anything. I was drifting, I was lost. Family vacation was just a few months away, and that's when things finally began to turn around for me. 25 people, half under the age of 10, in a 9-bedroom house, jumping in the lake. Santa Claus showed up, sleeping, and nonstop cooking. Some people call that a nightmare. We call that Tuesday afternoon. Shawn then rolls out this big old canvas. Well, take it away, Shawn.
If I could combine fly fishing with magnet fishing and make it a cool thing to do during vacation, if it was a rainy day on vacation, that you could still fish. There's made a prototype, like, well, it doesn't work, make another one. It doesn't work, make another one. It kind of works. Had the idea for the canvas like a river. Lisa and I, put everything together, painted the rocks on. But, so I had to make enough fish so that everybody had one to take home. Everybody had their own rod. I don't know what it looks like today. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't look good, but just did the best I could with what I had.
My thoughts and feelings like I was a failure as a dad, a husband, at business, wrestling with God. When I was talking with Shawn, when I was around this game, those worries were gone. And so what's the next best thing to hearing God audibly speak to you and tell you what to do next? That feeling, that whatever that is, yeah, I had that. Maybe there's something in that Michigan water. But before we get there, let's head back to the birth of Texas. No, too far. My bad. Shawn grew up in Texas, not the birth of Texas. In search of a change of scenery, alone with 2 kids, Mom heads to Houston, Texas.
I remember Mom and Dad getting married. I remember being at the wedding. What would have happened if my biological dad was an idiot and just gave me a name and took off? I did talk to him once, and it was a very short conversation. It was, I understand that you're always pregnant, and you probably have some questions, and it's probably pretty natural at this point, but just good luck. He's not my real dad. Dad's real dad. I just look at that man, and he took on 2 kids.
Feeling called by the 4 seasons, Dad led his new family back to Pennsylvania.
Kim and I were in the back of bright blue Ford LTD. But we got to a place where Mom and Dad went in to get some groceries. You know, we were all ready to open the doors and get out and start walking back to Texas.
Stay seated, little Shawn. You're about to meet someone pretty special.
Many. Ah, the love of my life, yeah. Yeah. It's
We're married 29 years, and that man, when he walks in the door, I feel the exact same as the day I met him. It's the best. It brings me straight joy to see him.
I remember putting away groceries in people's cars, and I'd look in through the window, and she was training at the register, and she had these high black boots on. And here I am, you know, preppy guy, paisley tie, and I was like, man, I need to get in there and bag her groceries.
And the first thing they said to each other was,
Hey, you need somebody to bag the groceries? Why, sure, I absolutely do. And from there, the rest is kind of history. She came up and I was there, and like, clingy girlfriend, geez, just go away. I mean, she could probably say it better than me, but
The words were, I don't love you, and I haven't loved you for a long time, and I just didn't have the guts to tell you, word for word.
I felt like if I could be really mean, she would hate me, and then it would make me feel better.
He left me. He was the person that I didn't think would. He was just lost at the time. And he was going into the Army, and there's a lot of things thrust upon him.
I have these ideas of what I want to do. I love working with my hands, but what kind of job do you have where you can just do that? And so the Army was a place. They took the ASVAB. I said, okay, well, I'll be a tank mechanic. And then, you know, the day came, you go to basic, people screaming at you.
Show your tray. Why is your symbol in your hand? Sidestep!
You strip everything that you had, that you identified with, just finding out who you are.
I guess you got to figure out where you're headed. Where you're headed is where you're going.
Again, you know, getting out of the Army, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. Working night shift at Stauffer Biscuit, I remember having my foot propped up. I was eating my sandwich, and I just randomly opened up a paper, and there was the engagement announcements, and I saw her, and I was like, she's getting married? What? To that guy? What?
The person who would never care at all who was getting married looked at it that day.
Saw the look on her face and knew at that moment that I gotta fix this now. I went to see her.
He was wearing a Tommy Hilfiger shirt. He smelled fabulous too. Like, is this really real? And it took me a minute. It took me about 35 seconds, to be honest, when he walked back in.
I felt a little like Tom Cruise walking in there. I walked in and I was like, wow, who's that guy? She's like, that's the guy I'm gonna marry.
I just remember not wanting that moment to ever stop. And we were together that day on. Like, I broke everything off, and it was just us. Okay, sir. Thanks, Aumen. Here's the thing, we don't know how long life is going to look like, and I'm gonna have fun every moment of it. I'm gonna enjoy every second.
I watch their marriage and I just think, reliable. I mean, Shawn is reliable. It's even in his job title. This guy is a director of reliability for 14 major water brands. Woo! Big dog. So Shawn, how'd you get into water?
One of Pam's friends, I said, hey, you're a maintenance guy, right? Hey, we're hiring. You should come over and check it out. But once I got in there and I saw the two-step blow molding process where it was an art. I've always been able to do the tactical thing, and somebody else says they've got the vision for a year from now, and I was always the guy that made that vision happen. Now, I was responsible for building an entire team. I'm asking people to do things that are extraordinary, not normal. And I knew in the time that we were looking for it was darn near impossible. And I finally found the teams, and I had 3 guys lined up that backed out. If they would not have backed out, I would have been in a sweetheart place, but I delivered the team like 6 weeks late. That's one of the few times that somebody's told me that you're a failure. You failed and you suck because people were depending on you to do this and you didn't deliver it. When you have that big of a letdown, it's puts you in a dark spot. That's to me the darkest I've been in a long time. It was like 9 o'clock and I'm eating my dinner and this song comes on and I'm like, it's a pretty good song. I don't know who that is. And I'd never heard it before.
Oh, my son, I think I am. Oh, my friend, I think I am. Oh, my the man, I think I want.
Am I the man I think I am? Am I the man I want to be? Am I the dad I want to be? I listen to that song over and over again, and that dark spot that you're in, like, gosh, am I that guy? And it just, and it hit me. And I think you have to have those moments where you question it. It's like, yeah, I am. You have to have that family, that network to be able to, when you do have those questions for yourself, to dive deep. Unfortunately, you don't look up often enough to ask, what should I do until you're in a spot. If everything's going well, I'm in control. I'm controlling all of that. And when things aren't going well, hey, what are you doing to me, man? Why are you doing this to me? Maybe I'm a fish and I got as big as I can in this pond. And if I go to a different pond, maybe I get bigger. Maybe I don't, but at least the pond's different. Yeah, there's a couple of really nice spots that I said if we wanted to go out a couple more times. I know Brad wanted to do an early morning, wanted to come out. My favorite saying of the last month was, you don't follow Jesus to get where you're going. You follow Jesus to get where he's going. Everything, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. I'm really like, well, why are you a Christian? Like, wherever he's going, that's where I want to go. It's crazy though, you hear things, I probably heard that 100 times, but I heard that it just hit it hit a little bit different this time. All right, I saw a nice one jump over here. We'll see if we can catch him. Fly fishing is one of those, if you ever see the river runs through it, you know, the whole, you shouldn't disgrace a fish by catching it with a regular rod and reel. Fly fishing is about presentation. It's about, you know, not just going out to fish, but to catch something that is, you're mimicking what nature does versus throwing something at it and irritating it to the point where it finally bites it.
In line with that, a perfect catch begins with a perfect fly. So for that, we go to Ben. Sometimes he ties flies for Shawn.
Hi, I'm Ben. Sometimes I tie flies for Shawn.
I'm tired of feeling like a small fish in a big pond. I think I'll go back where I came from, where everybody knows my name, and my friends are still the same. I guess the slow life hit me just right, like a bonfire on a cold night. Then you can keep your 9 to 5. I'm happy with the simple life.
Sometimes you do what you need to do to pay the bills, and whenever you get to that spot where you're not doing what you want to do, you're doing what you need to do, you become unsatisfied, you become stuck in this grind of just waiting for the boss to tell you, oh, you didn't do this, here's the next thing to do. But I know what the next thing is to do. I don't need you to tell me what the next thing is to do. I'm a leader, I'm a man, I'm fully confident and capable to do what I know needs to be done. I don't need you telling me what to do.
Pam and I play this game where there's the mug, but there's never the lid. And then when you go to find the lid, it's like, well, of course it's over there. Why wouldn't it be there? But like, wouldn't you think that you would put the lid with the coffee cup? It would make sense to me. Cheers, that's good stuff. That's a good cup of coffee. You got to fish where the fish are at, you know, first. Sometimes you're fishing where there's no fish. If you go out and you keep fishing and you don't catch anything, and you keep going to the same pond and you don't catch anything, well, maybe there's no fish there. That saying is, no man ever goes into the same river, for he is not the same man, and it is not the same river. I think every time you go into the river, you're a different person.
the color. Oh man, that's amazing. Oh man, he's beautiful. When we release it, yeah.
It is that whole thing. Okay, it's on. I got to keep pressure on the line. It's like it's kind of like anything that you do that you go out for so long that you don't realize you're in the moment. You know, you're in that moment where, okay, it's happening. It's happening. The point is, starting out the bottom, you see your next step. And when you get to the next step, you see your next step. Fast forward 25 years, you're 25 years in an industry where you have pretty much done all of the steps. I started to understand that if I have to do this every single day for the next 10 years, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to be miserable. I'm doing the exact same thing every single day. I'm not being creative anymore because all I'm doing is being told what to do. And once you stifle the creativity, it's time for me to go somewhere else. I can't just do what you're telling me to do.
Got me thinking, like, where does this reverence for creativity come from?
Her parents were deep into Halloween. Pam's dad would show me, hey, yeah, I bought this. It was $550. Look at it, I'm like, it's a piece of cardboard with paper in it. I could make one of those for sure. I made my first Halloween lantern.
It was very, very crude, and it's really funny to look at. And then he just progressed and progressed and progressed, and then...
Article in a country living magazine had a snowman on it, and a snowman lantern. I made the snowman, and again, it didn't look exactly like that, but I made him for everybody for Christmas. One of the heads of the Belschnickels, it was a Christmas club, said, "Who made these snowmen? Like, where'd you get those from?" And he's like, "Oh, my son-in-law makes them." And I took some up to him, and he's studying them, looking at them, and he's saying, "I really like them, but I need 800 of them." Okay, yeah, I can do it. That jumping in, just saying yes. Yes is the answer. What's the question? We were done like literally 2 days before, had everything boxed. At the end of the day, it landed on like $10,000. We did it, we got the money, to get a house. That was our first place, and that's how we got it. But I was able to transition to the next phase, which, doing replicas of lanterns. We had this stand at Renniger's, just a flea market. I would make like 20 at a time. We're setting up, and this guy comes up, and I was stamping the name Robertson on the bottom of them. He turns it over and looks at Robertson. He's like, "Are these new?" I'm like, yeah, I make them. He's like, "Oh, I'll take all of them." I looked at Pam, like, maybe we're not charging enough. Pulls out his little fanny pack of $100 bills and lays out, $500 and just bought everything I had.
I remember that vividly that day. And I've always been proud of who he was. He's just the greatest person on this planet, if you want. Now you're gonna cry. So that day I was nervous as a wife that he wouldn't sell anything. I know that would have made him think they weren't great. He wouldn't have looked at them like I looked at them. Somebody else saw something in him, and he then saw it in himself.
I was like, okay, maybe we're onto something. This is kind of cool. We were on vacation up in Harbor Springs. We started collecting wood. For whatever reason, like, hey, this is a really cool piece of driftwood. And on the kitchen table, I took the pieces, and I made a fish. That weekend, I put it all together and made the first one. There's so many different things that something can be. Just because you find it washed up and rotting doesn't mean that it can't be useful.
When I arrived in Michigan, Shawn had a bounty of driftwood, and he wanted to make a fish with me. And Praise, my daughter.
That's big enough, because he's going to be a big fish.
That's the holy grail.
Very hard to find them with nails in them.
That's a double holy grail. You see this, man? Can you see this? You can see the fin coming out. Just a perfect fin. It's got the nail in it. This is a special one, so this one comes up here.
The specials pile was growing, and the fish was taking shape.
The wood tells you. I mean, driftwood tells you what it wants to be. You just have to listen.
Well, these are all the big ones. Oh, yeah. Nope. What about that, honey? Could you get it to stay like that?
That was the last piece, and we were done. Sorry, they were done. I did nothing. They did this.
Okay, yeah, I like that, but I really like to carve. Like I'd like to be more detailed and really make efficient. About that same time, I bought the book of how to carve. I saw YouTube videos, but Bob Berry was this world-renowned fish carver from the '80s, and did my first one. Okay, this is awesome. This is great. You do the next one. I was like, man, my first one's terrible compared to this one. You do your third one. Wow, my second one's terrible compared to the third one. So I don't know how many it is now. I think I'm up to.
He has a very stressful job. It was him and the piece of wood, and he just had quiet, and he could just be in himself for a moment. All the things could go away. I don't think most of us get that time.
That's the end. Go from there, and that is the end. So we're gonna take that out, so we're gonna push that in there.
I don't have to work all year to sit in front of a boss that's going to review me and tell me, that I suck because I'm not confrontational. I want to have that outlet that feel free to create, and there's nobody judging you.
That way.
I never wanted to do a replica, but the more I do it, the more fish that I catch, like the steelhead that I caught. And if I make a fish that brings in that moment of joy, because I can touch it, I can pick it up, I can hold it. And every time I look at that, I see our experience, but I also see I also see God, in that fish, because it's the beauty and the details of everything in that. It blows your mind, how detailed that fish is.
You have so much stuff that you've made that it's like, what are you going to do with it?
Honeymoon vacation. So if you like to bid, 8:30, auction is ending.
All right, make sure you auction because the proceeds go to the awesome bride.
Thanks, sir. It'd be cool to be able to give the kids a good honeymoon, right?
And the big one, the 32-inch Northern Pike goes to K&A for $300. Woo! That is it.
So he did this with not wood that he bought, but wood that he found out of Lake Michigan. And he puts it together, and it's unbelievable. The man's unbelievable. So thank you all. Thank you, Shawn. Really, thank you.
Glad to do it. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Continue to party.
You'll find a lot of times in your life you're on cruise control. Every single day you wake up at 5 a.m., the clock rings, you brush your teeth, take a shower, you come down, you put on the coffee, you put on your boots, you take your lunch, you go out, and it's that whole, is this what it's going to be like? You go through this cycle, but you don't recognize that, hey, there's drift happening, and there's drift in my marriage, there's drift in my relationship with God, there's drift in my relationship with my family. Sometimes, when you get a beautiful piece, it looks fantastic on the outside, and you pick it up, and that's why I click it on my boot and knock all the dirt off of it, and see, is it infested with bugs? If I start to carve this thing, or if I put it, it's just going to fall apart. It's got too many cracks. I can't fix it. Pam would always show me these, hey, what about this one? This looks really good. And I look at it, it's too far gone. It's not salvageable. You look at life, and are people salvageable? I think God looks at us in that spot where we're never too far gone. I think you get to that spot where if you're willing to just get on your knees, and say, I'm broken, I feel like I'm ready to get thrown out. I feel like the bugs are in me. I got too many cracks in the foundation. You're good. I got you. And the hand comes up and you can feel it. It's good. You're never too far gone.
It took me 4 years to complete this film. Not because it wasn't ready, but I wasn't. And some projects can't be made until you're made. The revelations I had while making this film, they have changed my life. These fish reeled me in on my path of redemption. All that said, the one thing that I cherish most is all the time that I got to spend with my big brother. I'll be back to Michigan soon, and I cannot wait to see what he's up to.